News screens display alarming global headlines about monsters and catastrophic events, sparking fear and confusion. Outside the school entrance, students gather as someone complains that the trending news is just exaggerated hype, comparing it to past zombie rumors. The crowd's attention shifts to the appearance of the popular girl, Shu Qingxi. Students gossip about her breakup with her boyfriend. One student claims she was just settling for him, as she got accepted into a top university while he failed to even enter an ordinary college. They agree their futures were never compatible. Another student tries to remember the boyfriend's name, saying it might have been Fang Yi. Suddenly, Fang Yi appears in front of Shu Qingxi. Shu Qingxi calmly states that she has made up her mind and believes their relationship is no longer realistic. She explains that high school love often ends with a moment of realization, suggesting they were never truly right for each other. She adds that a lasting relationship needs equal standing and courage. She firmly says they should break up and adds that even if he tried everything, it wouldn't change her decision. Fang Yi stays silent with a blank expression, while the crowd watches. Internally, Shu Qingxi wonders if he's so stunned that he can't respond. The crowd silently mocks Fang Yi, assuming he'll beg her to stay since she's the school flower. One student even calls him a fool dreaming beyond his league. Fang Yi casually responds, "All right," and brushes it off. Shu Qingxi is caught off guard, and stares in disbelief. Fang Yi says he'll leave if there's nothing more to say. As he walks away, she calls out for him to wait. While wondering if his cold reaction is genuine or just an act, he looks back at her, and calmly asks if she has anything else to say. She angrily warns him that no matter what he thinks or does, she will never return to him. He coldly tells her not to overestimate her importance, referring to her as just the school flower. Shu Qingxi stands speechless as Fang Yi brushes her off, saying he's too busy to continue the conversation. As he walks away, a few students express their disbelief that the breakup happened so quickly and easily. Fang Yi reflects to himself that Shu Qingxi and the others have no idea about the disasters coming. He's no longer the person they once knew, he's someone who has returned from the future. He knows that in the face of what's coming, society's standards, degrees, and reputation will become meaningless. To him, Shu Qingxi is just a figure from a past life that no longer holds any value. He reflects that petty gossip no longer matters, what lies ahead is far more important. In his mind, the world and its values will soon be overturned. He knows that the real threat isn't personal relationships, but the crisis that will soon endanger all of humanity. The story flashes back to the previous night. Strange visions and shattered images surround Fang Yi as he receives a mysterious cosmic message. A countdown is revealed, 361 days until the beginning of the spiritual energy revival, which will bring unprecedented and unpredictable changes to the world. The message declares that society's standards will be overturned, and a new era of spiritual practitioners will rise where power will become the only measure of worth. A startled Fang Yi reaches out as the vision unfolds. Floating in a glowing cosmic space, he faces a light and asks who it is. Suddenly, a surge of light and energy flashes toward him, catching him off guard. A screen reveals that a system from the end of the universe has been activated. It uses a supreme algorithm to generate spiritual techniques based on the spiritual beings the user touches. The screen states that Fang Yi currently possesses 0 techniques as he reaches toward the interface, absorbing the gravity of this new power. Fang Yi silently reaches toward the glowing system panel, activating it with curiosity. Suddenly, a massive beast with glowing red eyes lunges toward him, jaws wide open in a violent surge of energy. The creature appears to emerge from the system itself, surrounded by lightning and chaos. As Fang Yi floats nearby in shock, his eyes widen as he realizes the danger in front of him. Fang Yi sees the fate he once shared with countless ordinary humans. Beads of sweat roll down his face as he processes the memory. He questions if that was truly him in his past life. He recalls how in that previous life, he was just a powerless person swept up by the disaster, fighting only to survive. Fang Yi recalls the darkness of his past as lightning strikes, and mutated beasts roam the city. He remembers watching his homeland collapse, powerless to stop the destruction. His past self died in despair, consumed by a burning desire for revenge at the moment of death. In that final moment, the fire in his eyes burned with hatred, reflecting the pain that still lingers within him. He believes the system chose him because of his strong desire for revenge, giving him the chance to return 1 year before the spiritual energy revival. He acknowledges that almost no one senses the coming danger, but he's now fully aware of what's approaching. He reaches toward the glowing core, determined to use this year to turn every spiritual event into an advantage. As light bursts around him, and the transformation begins, the system initiates a new assessment process, scanning Fang Yi as energy begins to surge within him. His eyes glow with golden light. The system declares that the user is now bound to it, and a new path is opened. Everything in the world can now be used to forge spiritual techniques, making him a powerful practitioner meant to save humanity. Meanwhile, in the outside world, officials announce that humanity is facing an unprecedented crisis and must abandon past knowledge to adapt to the unknown challenges ahead. Fang Yi confirms that this moment marks the beginning. With others nearby, he notes how the authorities haven't reassured the public, only advising people to remain cautious and alert. A phone displays warning alerts with strange images. Fang Yi reflects that such open warnings are unusual. In the past, news like this would have been censored immediately. A quiet auditorium is shown as he explains that the Xia country uses calm, indirect methods to mentally prepare people for disaster without spreading panic. Fang Yi admits it's a tiring and slow approach but far better than neighboring countries that respond with chaos, violence, or looting when disasters strike. Fang Yi remembers the system's rule: everything strange can become a source of power, so he knows he must rush to the scene whenever something unusual happens. His eyes narrow as he checks his phone. A headline warns of the highest of levels in a century at Jingcheng University, along with a heatwave alert for new students disguised as a casual sun protection notice. Some students nearby dismiss it as media hype, joking that the university probably paid to trend. Unaware of the deadly seriousness behind the warning, he looks up at the cloudy sky, noticing how different it seems from the weather reports. He checks his phone and sees the OV index at 0, questioning how Jingcheng University, only 15 minutes away, could be experiencing extreme OV levels. He reads a school announcement stating that registration will proceed as normal despite the intense heat. While online comments joke about the warning being fake or photoshopped, and the public dismisses it as a hoax, Fang Yi smiles subtly, knowing deep down that the danger is beginning, and he's the only one who understands it. Fang Yi smiles confidently as he senses that his first real opportunity has finally come. The sun blazes unnaturally over Jingcheng University's north gate. He arrives calmly, realizing something is not right with the environment. As students flee from the unbearable heat, Fang Yi calmly observes the glowing particles floating around the campus gate, and wonders what they are. He crouches down and reaches toward one of the flickering lights. As his finger touches the glowing orb, it pulses brightly with a surge of energy. A flash of light erupts, and Fang Yi is taken aback by the sudden reaction. The system detects a severe solar-type energy disturbance and immediately initiates the solar attribute data template. He screams in pain as the overwhelming energy surges through his body. A massive burst of radiant light explodes outward, illuminating the entire area with intense solar energy. Onlookers react in shock. Some question if they're hallucinating. Others jokingly call it a Super Saiyan moment, while one compares it to a heavenly being descending to Earth. Fang Yi screams in agony as the solar energy floods through his body. He wonders if the formation is complete, feeling like he's about to die under the strain. Suddenly, the system confirms the formation is complete, and he has obtained the golden sun breathing technique. His transformation is complete. His hair turns white, his eyes glow gold, and his body radiates with powerful solar lightning. At Jingcheng, the new student welcome day begins under a bright sun. A crowd forms around the registration area as students line up. One student offers to help Chu Kingxi carry her luggage. As she draws attention, multiple boys rush over her, offering guidance and club flyers, hoping to impress her. Calmly, she politely declines with a firm, "Thanks, but no need." A group of students chats excitedly, happy to be in the same city. Chu Kingxi stands beside them, visibly uninterested, thinking they're completely love-struck. Suddenly, a massive explosion of light appears in the distance, drawing everyone's attention and stunning Chu Kingxi. A warning blares through the loudspeakers, advising students to stay away from the north gate due to an incident. With a serious expression, she realizes strange things have been happening everywhere, and decides she must investigate it herself. At Jingcheng University's north gate, amidst the swirling smoke and flames, Fang Yi appears. A system panel activates, explaining that by staring into the scorching sun and breathing in the burning heat, he can perform golden sun breathing to strengthen his body. Without prior learning, a new skill is unlocked, and writing points are gained as golden energy continues to surge around his hands. Fang Yi looks at the system panel, which confirms that a new skill has been unlocked and 59 writing points have been gained. He questions what writing points are. After a brief pause, he decides it doesn't matter, thinking it's obviously something useful and he'll figure out how to use it later. The sun shines brightly overhead as Fang Yi looks up. Nearby students begin to react to the strange phenomenon. One comments that the sky suddenly went dark, while another says they felt a chill in the air. Someone else calls out that a crowd is forming at the north gate, and Chu Kingxi is seen among them. A large group of people gathers at the campus entrance. The president of Jingjiang University arrives with security and questions why so many people are present despite a warning message being sent out. He orders everyone to check in immediately, warning that those who don't will lose points. The hooded officer commands the team to re-establish the perimeter and fully seal off the north gate area. The president acknowledges the order with a nod. A system notification appears, confirming that the contaminated zone at Jingjiang University's north gate has been purified. Fang Yi reads another message explaining that a contaminated zone is a government-designated area in Xi country where spirit return energy appears. He's surprised to learn it's officially recognized, and realizes he's not the only one affected. A broadcast alerts everyone that all unrelated individuals must evacuate the sealed North Gate area immediately, prompting Fang Ye to stay cautious. As military personnel take control, someone questions if they are from the army, while others in the crowd express confusion. Fang Ye realizes the disturbance has become too large, and their presence has attracted too much attention. Without hesitation, he launches himself into the sky, deciding it's time to leave. The hooded officer steps through the smoke. He kneels, touches the surface, and picks up a small crystal fragment. He inspects it carefully, and states that the event was no accident, suggesting someone may have already begun resonating with spirit energy. As security orders the crowd to clear out, the officer continues observing the area. Chu Qingxi overhears the mention of spirit energy and questions whether this disaster was truly unnatural, wondering if such terrifying events could really be caused by humans. Watching Fang Yi from a distance, Chu Qingxi recalls the shadow earlier, and wonders if it was actually him. She doubts her suspicion, telling herself not to be naive. She thinks there's no way Fang Yi, with his mediocre performance, could have entered Jingjiang University. In Fang Yi's house, as the sun sets, he lies on his bed, struggling with intense heat radiating from his body. Despite taking cold showers and using air conditioning, nothing helps. Drenched in sweat, he realizes that if this continues, he won't be able to sleep. While wiping sweat from his face, Fang Yi worries that the chaos earlier might have exposed him. He checks his phone, and finds a top trending update from the Spirit Energy Practitioners Association about a new ranking system. Recognizing the name, he recalls the group as an obscure online community that occasionally posted spiritual training content once thought to be fantasy. The cloaked figure from earlier comes to mind, and Fang Yi suspects that the people he encountered at the university may have been part of that association. Fang Yi taps open the announcement, revealing various ranks of spiritual cultivation. He notes that while the content sounds fantastical, the watermark proves it's an official release by the Xie Country Agency. He reflects that in his past life, he never encountered such information, because he was an ordinary person focused on survival. Realizing this might be an official signal for early awakeners, he sits on his bed and decides to resume practicing golden sun breathing. He closes his eyes and begins breathing steadily as heat builds within his body. Flames of golden energy swirl around him as he levitates. A narration explains step 1 of the process, strengthening the body into a vessel capable of absorbing the energy of heaven and earth. He channels his spirit energy, commanding himself to shape it into the form of the divine axe as golden power explodes around him. As the energy condenses, the system confirms his breakthrough to the Ghost Axe 1-star rank. A new system message reminds him that he has 50 writing points available to convert knowledge into skills. He had forgotten about them, but now considers using them to boost his new rank. Fang Yi reflects on the system's explanation, questioning what it means to forcibly embed power into anything. Curious, he holds out his glowing hand, and wonders if a random object like a mug would qualify. A system window appears, asking if he wants to use a writing point to embed the sun attribute into the mug. As the mug glows, he realizes his guess was right. Smirking, Fang Yi confirms that this new ability has limitless potential. He understands that embedding attributes means granting objects supernatural powers, and wonders what would happen if he used this on a weapon. He looks at a sword he possesses, knowing a weapon crafted specifically for him will be crucial in the future. He plans to experiment with the system before committing to forging a true weapon, determined to prepare for the coming threat of mutated beasts. Under the moonlight, a large mutated beast approaches the building from the forest. Inside, the sound of coughing echoes. Fang Yi lies in bed, sweating and murmuring. He slowly opens his eyes. He walks into the living room and stops, noticing something. Ever since he entered the Ghost Axe realm, his hearing has become sharper, and he continues to hear repeated coughing sounds, realizing something isn't right. Fang Yi peeks out his apartment door, and hears coughing from the corridor. He spots a beast with glowing red eyes, and black feathers in the hallway, and identifies it as a mutated rabbit beast. He recalls that even with distant memories from his previous life, seeing this beast again sends chills down his spine. Meanwhile, A helicopter with a spotlight approaches. A girl with long hair stands on a rooftop, stating that the rabbit who consumed the dark spirit fruit is still on the loose, and its speed is shockingly fast. She instructs someone to stay updated while she eats a lollipop. She leaps across rooftops, swiftly moving through the city. Mid-air, she suddenly senses something and accelerates toward the source. The girl reports that she has detected the beast's dark energy again and that it fled 20 km away to a residential area. She urges for immediate pursuit to protect the residents, warning that the beast may grow stronger. On the 65th floor of a manga department, a man wonders if he's hallucinating from working too much as he sees a figure leaping in front of the full moon. The mutated beast charges toward Fang Ye, laying out a roar. Fang Ye's eye lights up with intense golden energy. He notes that his body has improved since his breakthrough. He can clearly see the beast's slow movements, and his muscles react fast enough to dodge. Power gathers in his hand as golden energy crackles. He wonders why these terrifying mutated beasts are appearing so early. As he charges forward, he recalls from his past life that the beast hasn't fully transformed yet, but its current stage boosts its power and madness. He prepares to strike, determined to stop it before it harms the residents. He grabs the beast, unleashing his power through his glowing hand and slamming it to the ground. He pins it down, realizing its weak point is its tail. He launches himself upward, shattering the ground as the beast is thrown into the air. His eyes glow fiercely as he channels energy into his fist. A powerful golden beam shoots upward, blasting the beast mid-air. The mutated beast attempts to absorb a powerful glowing energy ball. Fang Yi strikes it with yang element energy, questioning if it dares to absorb it. He declares that the sun's power is too majestic, and that the beast is bringing about its own destruction. A massive explosion erupts. A man in a nearby building reacts to the explosion, wondering if it was thunder. Fang Yi lands outside, surrounded by glowing energy fragments, observing that there's nothing left. He reflects that the creature acted desperately, as if it was starving. As golden energy fades, a red eye rolls near him. He stomps the ground, cracking it. Fang Ye thinks that although the beast used the darkness element, its attacks were wild, and the yang element inside him suppressed its energy. He reflects that if he hadn't awakened, he would have been devoured. He knows that to survive, he must gather more spirit energy techniques. Meanwhile, the girl descends from the sky, landing forcefully in a forest. She questions if the target is truly dead. Kneeling, she confirms the corpse has been torn apart and decides to collect the remaining dark element energy. As she reaches toward the ground, she reacts to something unexpected. The girl winces from the heat, wondering how intense the temperature is. She realizes it's due to high-grade yang energy, similar to what was detected at Jingshan University, and suspects it's no coincidence. Raising her hand to her earpiece, she contacts, confirming the rabbit is dead and explaining she wasn't the one who killed it. A new pioneer did, one possessing a high-grade elemental affinity. Someone asks if the person who purified the polluted zone and killed the mutated rabbit is the same individual. Another confirms the person isn't in their archives and remarks on the unusual talent. They insist the association must reach out to him immediately. The girl agrees, sealing the yang element energy carefully inside her cloak. He instructs her to postpone all other missions and focus on tracking the new pioneer. The girl calmly unwraps her lollipop, acknowledges the command, and casually says that first, she wants a cup of milk tea. Fang Ye wonders who this mysterious person is. Recognizing such overwhelming power must belong to a true expert. He silently vows to meet them, no matter what it takes. Fang Yi stretches his arms in front of a large window as sunlight pours in. He states that the whole day's plan starts in the morning. He removes his shirt, revealing a muscular physique, and mentions that waking up early helps with his cultivation. As he stands in the sunlight, glowing energy swirls around him, while he activates the golden sun breathing technique. He explains that after entering the Ghost Axe realm, he can sense the aura of the mountain masterpiece more clearly. A sudden explosion of light erupts as he realizes the breakthrough happened faster than expected. Fang Yi clenches his glowing fist, channeling the power. Lifting the golden axe, he notes it feels much lighter. He reflects that cultivation is like chopping wood. What truly matters is persistence. He swings the axe downward as radiant energy shoots through his body. He senses his body becoming stronger. He reflects that although his progress seems fast, it's due to unused residual energy. He decides that from now on, he must level up gradually. As he glances at a package, he notes that the anomalies caused by his cultivation are too flashy and thinks he needs to find a quieter place. At the association office, an older man detects a solar energy fluctuation and immediately suspects Fang Yi is the source again. In a quiet mountain forest by a stream, Fang Ye sits cross-legged and activates a screen interface. When prompted to use code points to implant a young attribute into an item, he confirms. He recalls a past attempt where he used a figurine as a weapon, but it couldn't handle the power. Now wielding a new blade, Fang Ye senses that this one is different. He feels the blade, and his body share the same origin. The screen confirms the coding was successful. Surrounded by golden energy, Fang Ye praises the weapon, and prepares to test its power. Shocked by the overwhelming force, he exclaims in surprise as a massive burst of light explodes from the weapon. Holding the glowing blade, Fang Ye unleashes a fiery arc of energy in a wide slash, nearly causing a wildfire. Relieved, he realizes it was too loud, and that he's probably been noticed. He prepares to leave quickly. Meanwhile, the girl rushes toward the scene, frustrated and yelling in anger. She complains that she only went to redeem a coupon for milk tea, but missed something important. She rushes through swirling smoke, questioning what happened and how to handle the aftermath. With teary eyes, she worries about getting scolded by the cleanup department again. Suddenly she's caught off guard as something hits her from behind. The girl is shocked, realizing that last night the aura was one star ghost axe, but now it has advanced to 2 star and even carries the presence of a spirit weapon. A visual explanation describes spirit weapons as powerful tools infused with attributes, far beyond ordinary weapons. She notes that spirit weapons are extremely rare, with the association only possessing 2. She's confused how someone else could have won, especially since current tech is still incomplete. Nervously, she laughs it off, saying it must be a mistake. Sitting by the stream, she prepares to cool it down and clean up. Walking through the forest, Fang Ye reflects that his weapon has the Yan attribute now, but the system never said it was limited to just one. Remembering the system's words, he wonders if he can stack multiple attributes onto the same weapon. While checking his phone, Fang Ye receives a message from someone asking if he's a pioneer. The sender reveals they checked his browser history. Fang Ye realizes he forgot to set his privacy settings. The user says their group has 3 members trying to connect with other pioneers. Fang Ye responds that he's a newbie too. They asked about his cultivation progress, and share a rumor about a national team player reaching the Divine X realm. Fang Ye is surprised to learn that even official military recruits are still only at the Ghost X realm. He receives a message from iDog72 about a newly formed pollution zone and a suggestion to team up, offering safety and shared loot. Fang Ye is intrigued and asks for the location. iDog72 sends a compressed data file titled Dark River Molten Dragon. The file explains that the pollution zone originated from a dark river altered by tectonic shifts, now turned into a molten layer due to world mutation. Fang Ye notes its Yang type attribute matches his, and considers it a promising opportunity. He sends a message confirming his participation in the team. In the Manhwa district, someone asks Old Lai when his friend. A group stands before a massive, sealed entrance. One member thanks Jian Xiaoyao for the detailed map and intel that helped him find the location easily. Another member expresses gratitude for the group's support, and reminds everyone that once they're inside, they'll need to watch out for each other. Jian Xiaoyao, a staff member from the Ministry of Culture's Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association, laments that there don't seem to be any stand-up pioneers to recommend this time. A narration explains that most pioneers don't realize the association is a government agency and becoming a formal member is extremely difficult, often requiring heady connections and multiple tests. Jian Xiaoyao sighs, dreading overtime if the group doesn't discover anything. Just then, someone excitedly recognizes Fang Ye approaching. Fang Ye steps forward confidently and introduces himself to the group, saying it's nice to meet them all. She observes Fang Ye, and guesses he's at the Ghost Axe Realm 2 star. She finds his strong aura unusual, it's warm and not oppressive. The group stands ready at the cave entrance. Someone announces that since everyone's gathered, it's time to move out. Another responds with an okay. Inside the cave, Fang Ye takes the lead, and tells Jian Xiaoyao to handle the light. She agrees, and the group begins their cautious descent. As they explore, one member warns Fang Ye to be careful of loose rocks. Another comments that the heat isn't as intense as expected. They guess it's because they haven't reached the core of the pollution zone yet. Fang Ye reminds everyone to prioritize safety and speak up if tired. He reflects that although he arrived last, the group has already welcomed him warmly. He senses their friendliness is genuine, whether out of kindness or survival instinct. The team reaches a cavern filled with glowing molten lava. One of them exclaims in awe, realizing it really is lava. Fang Ye suddenly steps forward toward the lava without hesitation, alarming the group. Jian Xiaoyao warns him not to act recklessly with danger ahead. Ignoring their shouts, Fang Ye plunges a weapon into the lava. The others panic, yelling at him for being reckless, and shouting to pull him back immediately. Flames erupt violently from the lava pit as Fang Yi makes contact, shocking the rest of the team. The system detects a world anomaly called inner flame and begins analyzing it, activating ultimate computing power to code the phenomenon. The analysis reveals that the inner flame has an extremely high internal temperature and explosive traits, making it incredibly destructive. The system then describes the crimson flame blade technique. When the blade is drawn, each strike is surrounded by blazing flames and lightning, unleashing its full might. Fang Yi prepares his hand to activate the technique, surrounded by swirling fire energy. He declares that it perfectly complements his Tang blade, and chooses to spend a serial point to in the inner flame attribute into the weapon. The team watches in awe from a distance as Fang Yi rises safely from the lava. They notice his weapon is absorbing the lava's energy, and confirm he's unharmed. As flames swirl around his newly enhanced blade, Fang Yi stands confidently. One of the team members praises his discovery, deciding to absorb energy during training, too. Fang Yi notes that the spiritual energy has stabilized, and it's time to cultivate. Another teammate raises his arms excitedly, saying he can now absorb energy smoothly. A second person shares the same experience, saying with a bit more training, they'll officially enter the cultivation path. Jian Xiaoyao smiles and assures them not to worry about safety. She's only there to gather intel and will keep watch while they focus on their training. Everyone expresses their gratitude to her. Suddenly, Jian Xiaoyao turns toward the cave entrance and notices new figures approaching. She warns the group that more pioneers are coming. A group of aggressive newcomers arrives. The red-haired leader mocks the others, calling them small fries, and declares the area his. Jian Xiaoyao looks back at her cultivating teammates and realizes all three enemies are at the one-star Ghost Axe realm, concluding they can't risk provoking them. She politely responds that they found the location first and her friends have already started absorbing energy. She offers to share the space if they're willing to cultivate peacefully. The man mocks her strength and yells at her to get lost, threatening violence if they don't leave him immediately. Jian Xiaoyao silently reflects that in this era of spiritual energy revival, the rule is survival of the fittest, and the weak are left behind. Despite that, she reminds herself that as a member of the Xia Countries Association, she can't let this continue and must intervene. Just then, Fang Yi steps forward with a confident head, surprising her. Standing tall, Fang Yi confronts the red-haired man, accusing him of only knowing how to bully a girl. The man reacts with shock, shouting, "What?" Fang Yi unsheathes his flaming blade and strikes, sending out a powerful shockwave that pushes back the enemies, stunning everyone. The man shouts for his group to fall back as Fang Yi's flaming attack blasts them into the air, overwhelming their defense. One of Fang Yi's teammates is startled by the sudden energy shockwave and asks, "What just happened?" Fang Yi reflects that the tragedies in this world began because cultivators started worshipping the idea of the strong preying on the weak. But he concludes that such people aren't swayed by words or moral teachings. Only power can stop them. Fang Yi unleashes another fiery slash, telling the enemy to get lost as the attack erupts with explosive force. The leader is stunned by the second explosion, panicking and questioning what kind of monster he's facing. Overwhelmed, the enemy group turns and flees in terror as Fang Yi calmly holds his sword. Fang Yi's teammates rush over in excitement, praising his insane power and saying that his sword slash looked incredibly cool. Fang Yi smiles and says the enemies crossed the line, but they've absorbed enough spiritual energy, so it's time to leave. As the group agrees and prepares to exit the spirit zone, they reflect on how destructive Fang Yi's attack could have been if it had fully landed. Watching him walk away, Jian Xiaoyao observes that he's clearly a top-tier pioneer with elite talent and a powerful attribute. Clenching her fist, she firmly decides that this event must be reported to the organization. At the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association office, a woman reacts to a report and asks if another high-tier attribute pioneer has appeared. Jian Xiaoyao, on the other end, is shocked to hear the word another. Caught off guard, the girl nervously denies anything suspicious while secretly confirming she recorded the event and should be contacted for any updates. She ends the call, saving the data as instructed. Later, excited, she tells her teacher that they found two high-tier pioneers back to back, but he dismisses it, saying, "It's not luck. Anyone with a high-tier attribute now holds value, and will soon rise to power." The older man rubs his forehead, frustrated by recent developments, thinking it's all becoming too complicated and he wants to quit. Meanwhile, in town, Fang Yi walks in a hoodie with his sword. Girls nearby admire his appearance, thinking he looks like a powerful character, which makes Fang Yi embarrassed. As he silently continues walking, others around admire him. A caption notes he's pretending to be a cosplayer to avoid attention. Suddenly, Fang Yi receives breaking news on his phone. The events from cultivation novels are starting to come true. Golden light in the east, a purple aura, and even a dragon sighting. Fang Yi realizes the anomaly was caused by his inner flame's power, which he underestimated. He rules out Jian Shoya leaking his traits. He thinks absorbing Yan, type energy might let him break through if he uses the golden sun breathing technique again. Deciding not to delay, he heads toward the back mountain to continue cultivating. 5 minutes later, at the back mountain, Bai Jing stretches and celebrates completing her task. She's startled by a sudden powerful energy surge glowing in the distance and quickly senses it's coming from the mountain. The overwhelming aura spirals upward, signaling someone is breaking through to the 3-star Ghost Axe realm. Shocked by the scale of the energy, Bai Jing realizes this breakthrough is beyond monstrous and questions who could be behind it. She slams her foot down, deciding she must immediately investigate the source of the massive energy surge. As she rushes forward with determination, she wonders if the one behind it could be that guy, though it seems too unlikely. Fang Yi raises his hands as spiritual energy begins forming above him, spinning rapidly in a spiral. While lightning crackles in the background, he sits cross-legged, surrounded by intense golden flames, his eyes glowing. His body is enveloped in a complex aura, and he maintains a focused hand seal. The golden energy condenses further, mixing with blue currents as it takes the shape of a glowing axe. Bai Jing watches from above, realizing that Fang Yi is trying to control a divine axe. She notes the difficulty of manipulating spiritual power so precisely and wonders if he secretly trained for several years without anyone knowing. Bai Jing recalls how she previously failed while breaking through, vomiting blood and collapsing under pressure. She stares at Fang Yi and questions if he's truly a monster born from thunder. She observes how the divine axe is filled with spiritual energy, and how Fang Yi controls it precisely. She notes that every movement of the aura looks like it could strike with immense force, and recognizes that someone like him isn't just a genius, he's a being summoned by the heavens. She observes how most cultivators would rush to finish after forming a core, but Fang Yi maintains sharp focus and sword-like intent. She compares Fang Yi's calm to that of a high-ranking cultivator. Bai Jing chases the divine axe's aura as it begins to move again. She yells that the divine axe has shifted toward the east. Fang Yi's eyes glow intensely with golden light. He rises into the air, fully wrapped in golden lightning as energy erupts around him. He successfully breaks through to the 2nd star of the Ghost Axe realm. Bai Jing braces herself amid the crashing energy blasts, breathing heavily while standing within the storm of golden lightning. She is flung back by a massive energy surge as Fang Yi's divine axe unleashes a shockwave, engulfing the area in golden force. Catching her breath, Bai Jing wonders why she still can't get close, even though only 30 seconds have passed. She realizes he may have already detected her presence and worries he might act against her next. Her eyes narrow with a sudden realization. Looking up at a large, glowing tree bathed in sunlight, Bai Jing notes that the divine axe seems to have stopped and hasn't yet fully awakened. Fang Yi hides in the trees and watches Bai Jing, realizing she's the one who's been investigating him over the past few days. Bai Jing introduces herself as the captain of a field team from the Spirit Energy Association. She formally extends an invitation to Fang Yi on behalf of the organization. Fang Yi responds calmly, explaining that he's only been following her these past 2 days in hopes of joining the official association. He assures her that his actions weren't meant to leave a bad impression. He adds that while the association hasn't made a public announcement yet, all internal documentation is already formalized. Bai Jing wonders if he'll misunderstand her actions or think she's been bothering him. She focuses on staying calm. Fang Yi questions Bai Jing's reasoning. She tries to answer but hesitates, overwhelmed by his directness. She debates whether to be honest, unsure if revealing the truth would make things worse. He explains that he wanted to locate the Spirit Energy Association early to integrate with their system and correct misunderstandings about rogue cultivators, giving both sides more clarity. He acknowledges that despite their differences, they all must face the same threats ahead. Fang Yi admits that if he were her, he wouldn't trust someone like him easily either, and joining an organization without certainty feels like deception. Bai Jing remains silent, visibly affected by his honesty. Just then, another woman arrives. She pulls out her ID card and formally introduces herself as Su Mantang, an athlete from the Spirit Energy Association. She enthusiastically holds her badge up high, hoping Fang Yi recognizes her. She asks him to believe her, treating it like proof of her sincerity. Fang Yi examines her, and mutters that her name does seem a bit familiar. He realizes she had better conditions and training, which likely helped her become an elite runner. He acknowledges it explains her speed, but something still bothers him. Fang Yi looks serious, remembering that in his previous life, Su Mantang failed to fulfill her mission, and humanity was ultimately wiped out. He recalls the destruction of the world, and thinks that now that he's been reborn and granted a system, he must one day join their cause, but the time isn't right yet. Su-manting smiles and says she really does recognize him, hoping it builds trust. Fang Yi quickly leaps away, telling her he'll consider the offer, leaving behind a trail of wind. Fang Yi reappears behind Su-manting, and tells her to temporarily keep his identity and actions a secret. Based on her conduct, he concludes that the Spirit Energy Association likely trusts her more than other scouts. He internally decides to make use of her abilities, believing she can serve his goals well. Su-manting agrees to cooperate but says the association has already noticed the disturbance from his breakthrough, and she must still report it eventually, perhaps in half a year. Fang Yi accepts the condition, and calmly agrees. Su-manting leaps through the forest, frustrated that Fang Yi slipped away again. She complains about always missing her chance and the tiring task of reporting back. She grumbles about cleaning up after others' messes, then tells herself to stop dwelling on it. Since she's already on assignment, she might as well finish it properly. Receiving a message through her earpiece, Su-manting is shocked to hear that an abnormal has reappeared. She quickly asks if it's active again. She recalls the brutal monster pack responsible for past horrors and vows never to forget them. Dark red creatures with twisted forms crawl through ruined cities, hunting, biting, and killing without reason. They target humans and spread chaos wherever they appear. The creatures are classified as abnormal beings by the Spirit Energy Association. Their behavior varies, with some attacking randomly and others following complex strategies. If they're not eliminated early, they grow stronger by absorbing aura, becoming more destructive and difficult to handle. Lightning strikes violently in the middle of a heavy rainstorm, illuminating tall city buildings. Fang Yi steps into a puddle as rain pours down. Emergency warnings flash on electronic screens, announcing that the area has entered a dangerous state and civilians should evacuate immediately. Passers-by comment on how frequent these anomalies have become. Fang Yi looks up. He notes the intense lightning pressure in the atmosphere, and realizes that the center of the storm is still moving. Fang Yi climbs a flight of stairs in the rain. He stops before a distant mountain struck by purple lightning, and mutters that the signal is coming from there. Without hesitation, he leaps forward into the storm. He lands with speed, sprinting up the slope toward the mountain. He receives a system alert confirming the area ahead is the contaminated target location, Jade Peak. Another display identifies Jade Peak as a 1545-meter landmark in the city. Fang Yi approaches through a misty, skeletal forest littered with bones. The system reports that the contamination level is currently unknown. He continues forward without hesitation. Suddenly, Fang Yi's eyes sharpen as he senses something unusual nearby. A massive bolt of bright blue lightning strikes down in front of him. An emergency meeting is called. A report shows a mountain struck by lightning, explaining that the spiritual energy levels are rising and the danger level of Yuhuan Peak is increasing rapidly. A man in a suit says this is a serious situation, as the original cleanup team was reassigned. He then asks Beijing to continue the briefing. Beijing explains to the council that the peak is currently inaccessible due to explosive lightning by spiritual energy. They had only rated it as an level pollution zone so far. She adds that in 1 hour, it will reach a level that demands a new emergency classification. However, based on past data, no one in their district, including herself, has the ability to approach it safely. The officials review death rate estimates, and conclude that even Ghost Axe Tier 3 elites have a 100 fatality rate if deployed into the contaminated zone. One officer proposes an immediate lockdown around Yuhuang Peak's base with 24-hour patrols to stop anyone from entering. The second officer agrees, stating the mountain must be sealed completely from the root of the danger. They finalize the decision. No one is allowed near the spiritual turbulence until energy levels drop. The zone will remain locked for safety. Suddenly, lightning crashes into the mountain. Amid the rain and flashing light, Fang Yi appears in a hooded cloak, muttering to himself that he will reclaim his memory. He stands amid the storm but realizes it's not enough. To absorb the powerful spiritual energy, he must move deeper into the mountain's core. He reflects on the deadly nature of this energy, and its origins. Even ordinary monsters are now strengthened, and the danger level is rising with distortions in space and time. Although he now controls the Golden Sun breathing technique and Flame Blade, Fang Yi knows he still lacks the strength to fully wield these powers. Future enemies will be far more terrifying, and even cultivators might struggle against them. He prepares his weapons carefully, combining fire and blade traits to increase his attack power. However, he notes that overuse may also cause severe damage to his body. Only by pushing his limits can he survive what lies ahead. Fang Yi senses the immense lightning energy surrounding him, and sees it as the perfect chance to further strengthen his body. He reflects that constant growth requires opportunities hidden within nature's extremes, and he must seize those moments no matter how dangerous. He understands that if he misses this chance, he can only wait for death. As a bolt of lightning strikes down, his eyes glow intensely. Gripping his blade tightly, he braces himself. As lightning strikes, Fang Yi braces for impact, marveling at the overwhelming force crashing into him. As he channels his strength, sparks and energy swirl around him while he clutches his weapon tighter. Caught in the center of the storm, he screams while absorbing the energy, enduring the painful surge through sheer willpower. Breathing heavily but still standing, Fang Yi grips his blade and steadies himself. He stands firm, feeling the deadly lightning attribute in his sword. He senses that this force is like a punishment from the heavens. The pressure increases, forcing him to clench his fists and grit his teeth. He realizes that even nearing the lightning's core could crush him instantly. He looks up at the storm, wondering how he can make this wild power submit to him. Taking a deep breath, he calms himself. With a flash of determination, Fang Yi activates Golden Flame, breathing at full force, shouting his command to unleash everything he has. Fang Yi charges upward with blazing force, clashing directly with the incoming lightning. Flames burst from his body as he strikes, combining fire and lightning in a single explosive leap toward the sky. Despite blood dripping from his mouth, Fang Yi doesn't falter. With full strength, he pushes forward into the heart of the storm, declaring that he will survive through death itself. He feels the powerful spiritual energy stir through his body, shaking his core and electrifying every cell. With glowing eyes, he declares that the storm wants him dead, but he refuses to yield. The lightning energy rages forward as Fang Yi braces for the final clash. A notification appears. A massive surge of lightning energy is being detected and recorded. Meanwhile, people in the sea watch the storm from a tower, shocked by the scale of the lightning strike. Fang Yi is engulfed in a massive explosion of lightning and fire. A system message confirms he has obtained divine thunder tempering. Another system prompt appears. Heavenly thunder, drawn body refined into divinity, awarded 50 system points. Surrounded by radiant energy, Fang Yi floats above the mountain. As the inheritor of divine thunder, he now carries both lightning and fire attributes, and his presence begins to reshape the weather. He declares that lightning is both his fangs and his shield. He feels its power flowing through him, enhancing both his offense and defense. He channels the lightning energy into his body and notes that even as it tests him, it does not cause pain. It offers both danger and opportunity. A system prompt appears, offering him the pure judgment lightning ability, capable of delivering 300 damage to evil beings. It asks if he wants to spend system points to acquire it. Fang Yi wonders if he should embed this lightning energy into his blade. Though doing so could damage its structure, it may also break through its limits. He considers the risk if he injects too much lightning attribute. The weapon might not be able to withstand it. A system prompt asks if he wants to embed the lightning attribute into the object. He makes his decision, stating the energy should go into his right hand. Smiling slightly, Fang Yi confirms the command with a firm yes, ready to proceed. Lightning gathers in his hand as he prepares to absorb the power directly. The next day, at Yuhuang Peak, military personnel observe the aftermath of the spiritual storm. One officer reports that, unexpectedly, someone had already entered the mountain before them. The officer, addressed as Major Han Li, confirms that the person was a pioneer. Bai Jing is surprised to hear this, and rushes forward to ask if the person survived. Kneeling on the ground, Bai Jing remains silent as the wind blows around her. She explains she can't sense his attributes or how long he's been gone. The violent lightning from yesterday has made it difficult to track him. Bai Jing learns the incident occurred around 6 or 7 it was, with the person entering the mountain just before the team arrived. She's surprised and asks why they didn't detect him. The officer explains that the spiritual bursts time matched their association's earlier predictions exactly, evident, and the person might have entered before the data was finalized. Standing over the lightning, scorched peak, the officer says the pollution level was expected to reach its peak, but afterward, the spiritual density dropped drastically. He suspects the intruder may have lightning-based powers, which helped him absorb the energy. He concludes that the person not only survived but possibly used this event as a rare opportunity. The outcome was too precise to be a coincidence, and the person acted faster than their entire team. Bai Jing and the officer agree that someone capable of such power is dangerous. They question where this person truly stands, friend or threat. If he's a danger to society, They say he must be found quickly, as his presence could lead to a disaster greater than any anomaly. Meanwhile, Fang Yai wakes up casually in his home, rubbing his head while his sword rests beside him. Back at the command center, the officer declares that no matter the cost, the mysterious person must be located. He assigns a code name, Tyrant. The investigation at Yuhuan Mountain kicked off immediately. The military hoped the Spiritual Practitioners Association would soon bring the mysterious figure known as Tyrant into the fold. Until then, they planned to keep the situation under wraps and run a parallel investigation of their own. Atop the rain-soaked summit, the head of the association informed Major Han Li that one of their top pioneers was already attempting to establish contact. He then turned to Bai Jing and instructed her to brief the major on what she knew. Caught off guard, Bai Jing gasped quietly, her heart racing. Thrown into the spotlight, she quickly pieced together a report of half-truths stitched with care. She linked the recent disturbance to the same pioneer who had resolved the contamination near the local university. Internally, she was a mess, nervous that one wrong word might expose her secret alliance with Feng Yai. She explained she'd been trying to reach him, but he'd proven difficult to track down. She recalled finding a mutated rabbit's corpse, clearly killed by him, and correctly identified the presence of Yan flame energy at the scene. Wrapping up, she promised to continue closing the gap between them, and uncover how he'd managed to purify the university's gate. As she spoke, she prayed silently, relying on a mix of truth and deception to keep her story believable. Major Han Li listened carefully, pondering the significance of a pioneer possessing the Yan flame attribute. He seemed satisfied with her explanation, and praised her for her effort, calling her a gifted young pioneer. Bai Jing saluted with sharp precision, responding that she was simply fulfilling her duty. Once the meeting concluded, Major Han Li mentioned plans to spread false reports of natural disasters to keep the public from panicking. He also voiced concerns about posting spiritual energy intel online where it could be exploited by malicious actors. While the conversation continued, Bai Jing exhaled quietly, grateful the grilling was over. Meanwhile, at his home, Fang Yai activated his golden sun breathing technique to dry his soaked hoodie. In seconds it gleamed with radiant warmth, dry, clean, and almost glowing. He then turned his attention inward, examining the changes within his body. Even after adding the powerful thunder element, the contrast was striking. His right hand now crackled with blue lightning, completely transformed and significantly strengthened. As he moved his fingers, small sparks danced between them. He could sense a breakthrough approaching. What surprised him most was how tame the thunder energy had become. It now obeyed him completely. This was a huge change from the violent pain he endured when he first awakened his Yan power. He recalled the system's message. This thunder ability doubled damage against supernatural threats. He was eager to test it in battle. A sudden ping from his phone snapped him out of his thoughts. He picked it up, wondering what fresh chaos had arrived. After previous experiences, he'd set up custom alerts for emergencies, knowing that in this era official warnings were more than just safety tips. For pioneers like him, each crisis was a new chance to grow, even if it meant putting his life on the line. He checked the breaking news. A massive explosion had rocked a chemical plant, spreading dangerous pollutants across the city. Official reports claimed there were no injuries and urged the public to stay calm. But Fang He didn't buy it. He browsed online forums where eyewitnesses described a chilling atmosphere around the blast site. Some spoke of an unnatural, evil presence. Others backed up the claim. The words cold and evil aura stood out to Feng Yai. A horrifying memory from his previous life surfaced. Blood, a monstrous hand, chaos. He recalled hiding in terror from a giant, crimson, man-eating beast that tore everything apart. He knew exactly what it was, a mutated creature, once plant or animal, that gained awareness and transformed into a deadly predator. They preferred to strike under the cover of night, and were far more dangerous than the mutated rabbit he had faced. Realizing the urgency, Feng Ye clenched his lightning-charged fist. He couldn't allow this creature to grow stronger. Tonight, he would face it. Surrounded by a field of crackling electricity, he stood ready to test his new skill, a 200 critical damage boost. That same rainy night, empty streets glistened beneath the storm. Blurs raced across the slick roads. An elite squad in black cloaks moved like shadows through the city. They were the Destroyer Squad, tasked with hunting anomalies. One operative reported that they had been tracking a target named Candle Knight but had lost it. Its ability to vanish into darkness made it incredibly difficult to follow. The operative added new intel. A creature gave off a low sizzling sound as it preyed on humans. High above the city, lightning flashed as the team landed on a rooftop. Their leader, a hard-faced man with silver hair and a scar, knew the storm gave the creature an advantage. With determination, He declared they had to stop it. At the central command station, an operator received the update. The report on Candle Night was finalized. An extermination directive was immediately issued. Priority level red. The target needed to be neutralized within 12 hours. The squad received instructions. Continue the hunt, but don't risk unnecessary casualties. With renewed urgency, they dashed across rooftops. The squad leader paused to check a glowing digital map. Red dots marked multiple active threats. 12 hours wasn't ideal, but it was the best the stretched resources of the nation could offer. Just as they neared Candle Night's last known location, a warning came in. The area was currently under the jurisdiction of the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association. A photo of Su Qingjing popped up on the screen. She and her team were already on-site monitoring pioneers. The squad leader acknowledged the update and requested her assistance, noting her reputation for exceptional work. Elsewhere, Su Qingjing raised an eyebrow, surprised by her sudden fame. Back in the field, the destroyer squad waited in the rain. Soon, Su Qingjing and her cloaked team arrived, taking position on a rooftop above. With a playful smirk, she asked if they were the ones dragging her out for some overtime. The squad leader wasn't amused. He firmly explained that Candle Night was a man-eater. This was no casual favor. One of Su Qingjing's teammates shot back, questioning his rude approach. Su Qingjing turned to leave, sarcastically suggesting that since they seemed so capable, maybe they didn't need her after all. Her team followed, murmuring to one another, some concerned about her sharp attitude, others insisting their missions were just as risky. Panic flashed across the squad leader's face. He called out, apologizing and pleading for help. He emphasized how deadly Candle Night was, and how much they needed her renowned tracking skills. If they failed, he warned, innocent lives would be lost. Cloak's squad stood on a rooftop overlooking the city in the rain. One of them detected something, and announced they'd found it. The portal unleashed a strange force spiraling down into the city. A creature with red eyes emerged in the shadows. File number 7. Candle Night likes darkness, dampness, and eating people. The squad received the command. The man confirmed, Destruction Squad, begin operation. As they prepared to engage, the monster Candle Night stirred. Its glowing red eyes fixated on the squad's direction. Candle Night leaped from its position with explosive speed. One of the squad members shouted that the target had detected them and commanded the squad to deploy formation. The monster lunged forward, but members of the squad dashed in from multiple directions. One shouted east, as others responded in unison, surrounding the target from all sides with precise coordination. The squad yelled as they closed in on the monster with intensity. As the team positioned themselves, Candle Night let out a roar, and one squad member rose from the shadows to kill it. The strike hit the monster hard as it let out a sharp squeal, and pounced in response. Then the monster swiped through debris, showing its physical power. Its eyes glowed red as it snarled in rage with a furious roar. Candle Night spun into a vortex of energy, launching into a terrifying spiral attack. Su Qingjing warned the squad to dodge quickly, shouting that a sound wave attack was incoming. A spiraling shockwave tore through the battlefield, sending squad members flying as the vortex smashed the surroundings. Su Qingjing checked on their leader, asking if he was okay. The captain, bleeding from his arm, admitted that if he hadn't backed off in time, the impact would have shattered his bones. He warned that with its dark attributes and destructive force, Candle Night would cause a catastrophe if it stayed in the city. Candle Night's body glowed green as it channeled corrosive dark energy. A massive green shockwave erupted beneath the creature as it unleashed its power into the ground. The monster started digging rapidly, melting through the earth with corrosive breath in an attempt to escape. Su Qingjing shouted that it was trying to burrow underground. Another warned that its dark attribute corrodes anything it touches instantly, and they lacked a high-tier counter attribute to stop it. A squad member explained that while Candle Night could corrode the ground, it couldn't tunnel out instantly. He urged the team not to break formation, reminding them their role was intel and tactical support. Another soldier shouted for everyone to stay alert. Suddenly, glowing red eyes emerged from the darkness. Candle Night burst out violently and struck, knocking a squad member into the air with a fierce blow. The leader yelled for everyone to chase the monster before it escaped. As they followed the green energy trail, a surge in spiritual energy was detected. Reaching a rooftop, one member noticed the spike and commanded the others to wait outside while they followed the target in. Inside an abandoned factory, the lead scout prepared to scan for spiritual energy readings before proceeding. The leader asked if the device on Su Qingjing's wrist was the new auxiliary tool from the association. She confirmed, and explained that the average squad could handle anomaly levels up to 50. The creature they chased was just below that at 48. Suddenly, The watch spiked to 80 and continued rising, shocking them. She realized there was more than one anomaly present. As the group entered the factory, a dark serpent loomed above. They both turned in alarm, as a loud crash behind them confirmed they weren't alone. Another threat had arrived. Su Qingjin realized they were tricked. Candle Knight had lured them in to trap them with another anomaly. She told the group they must retreat immediately. The leader suggested heading to the door. If the anomaly wanted to stop them, it would have to reveal itself. Together, they fired an attack to force the door open. As they ran, Su Qingjin was struck by something and collapsed. Gasping in pain, she realized her senses and body were being overtaken by poison gas. As a dark creature loomed in the mist, she called out to the others but got no reply. Alone in the misty factory, she suspected they were nearby but unable to respond. Holding her communicator, she pieced it together. Candle Knight lured them in, but the poisonous place belonged to another anomaly, likely a giant serpent. The serpent's face emerged from the toxic fog. She realized that unlike Candle Knight's dark powers, this mist was poisonous and began affecting them the moment they entered. The gas not only paralyzed senses, but also drained spiritual energy rapidly. She knew if she tried to attack now, her energy would run out. She was already close to collapse. Lying on the ground, she questioned what kind of anomaly could possess such intelligence and overwhelming power. It felt like they were being toyed with. Her body collapsed completely. A faint light broke through the ceiling above, but she was too weak to move. As her eye barely opened, she struggled to stay conscious as she sensed something approaching. Fang Yi crashed down from above, descending with confidence. He landed firmly on the ground, cracking the floor beneath him with sheer impact. Standing tall, he faced the looming serpent and confirmed it was a dark attribute anomaly. Unfazed, and fully in control, the black serpent lunged with jaws wide open, aiming to devour the intruder. He dodged swiftly, but a second creature, Candle Knight, crashed into him from above. He was forced back, growling in frustration as both enemies closed in. Realizing the truth mid-battle, he confirmed there were two anomalies working together. He smirked, realizing one anomaly lures while the other harvests. He mocked Candle Knight for biting him, saying it must enjoy it too much. Power surged through him as he activated thunder energy. He slashed through the serpent, burning its body with a blazing attack enhanced by thunder. With lightning crackling, he turned to the next enemy and challenged it to handle fire. Next, the serpent became extremely angry. The moment it spotted Fang Yi, it started attacking him. However, seeing the serpent charging in for an attack, Fang Yi dodged and quickly drew his sword, getting ready to strike. As soon as the serpent pulled its head out from the wall and looked upward, it realized that the person in front of it was charging in with a sword. At this moment, Fang Yi had already gotten very close to it, and upon reaching it, he struck the sword directly at the center of the serpent's head. The attack landed directly on the serpent's skull, slicing it right down the middle. Just after landing the attack, Fang Yi stepped back slightly and looked in shock as the serpent, even after being split in half, started regenerating. Fang Yi already knew something like this would happen. He had expected that the serpent would surely have a regeneration ability. While the serpent was trying to recover, a powerful bolt of electricity struck its head. The moment the lightning hit its head, it began screaming in agony. Seeing this, Fang Yi smiled. This attack was launched by him. Watching the python die in front of him, Fang Yi smiled and thought, good thing I sensed it in advance. This serpent's dark aura is even denser than Candle Knight's. Then he raised his sword once again, and attacked the python. Just now, while wielding the Tang sword and unleashing the power of internal flame, I controlled the force and retracted it. Using the sword as a carrier, I condensed and channeled the thunderbolt power in my hand into the snake's body. The moment Fang Yi's fire-type attack was unleashed through the blade and struck the python, it started burning. Seeing this, Fang Yi thought, as a dark-type anomaly, Candle Knight may be eerie and sneaky, but its power is relatively weak. It's bloodthirsty, but at most, it could only harm one or two humans. Not truly evolve. But this serpent. Bleh. Just then, Fang Yi groaned in pain and noticed that snake scales were attached to his shoulder, spreading poison through his body. He started recalling the fight with the python, thinking about how this happened. Then he remembered when the scales made contact with his body. Just as I thought, it's a cunning mutated species. Its intelligence has even improved. These sneak attacks are deadly. Its poison carries a bill and paralyzing effect. It kills silently without a trace. At this moment, Fang Yi was feeling intense pain, probably because of the continuous flow of the golden sun breathing technique within his body. The moment he felt this, he started thinking again. The Yan Flame attribute can dissolve poison. The golden sun breathing technique protects and heals, and the thunder attribute purifies. These two give a clear pain response to poison intrusion, warning me of incoming enemy attacks. But for others less lucky, even with some defensive ability, it may be incurable. This serpent grew to this size so stealthily. Besides likely being at the 3-star Ghost Act realm, it surely relies on ambush predation. Not to mention, with Candle Knight as a partner, it's the perfect trap combo for elite pioneers. It's probably devoured quite a few people by now. Many pioneers who never met up with the association are likely. As he's thinking all this, the serpent's body continued to burn in front of him. Feng Yi kept staring at the serpent and continued thinking. Finally, no matter how sinister and venomous it was, its end is ash and dust. The inner flame energy was pure, but the thunder attribute's triple crit really stole the spotlight. I feel like my combat ability is pretty decent among pioneers now, right? And just after a short while, the serpent completely turned to ash. After burning it entirely, Feng Yan moved his hand close to the fire, but suddenly stopped and began looking around. Sensing something, he looked into the smoke where Su Qingying was coughing. She appeared to be in extremely bad condition, looking almost semi-unconscious. Seeing her, Feng Yi said, "This is that girl from the association. What was her name again?" Then walking closer to her, he said, "There's no need for you to keep pretending. I know you're faking your death. You should improve your acting skills. It's clear you're just pretending." Seeing Feng Yi up close, Su Qingying started covering her face and thought to herself, "Oh my god, enemies always meet on narrow paths. It really was him earlier." Then trying to make an excuse, she said, "I woke up because of the smell. I wasn't pretending. I really did pass out." After saying this, she stood up. Feng Yi, watching her, smiled and said, "You're strong. Your teammates all ran out of energy and passed out, but you still had enough left to shield yourself. If you had no will left, you wouldn't have been able to smell blood or burnt flesh." Hearing this, Su Qingying thanked him for the compliment, though she was still hiding her face and thinking to herself, "I did keep a sliver of spiritual energy to protect myself, and he noticed. But I have no idea how he beat Candle Knight and that giant serpent." Seeing her like that, Feng Yi said to her, "There's no need to cover your eyes. Just be honest and promise not to reveal my identity." When Feng Yi said this, Su Qingying thought to herself, this time he seemed more friendly, and he's actually talking like a friend. Then Feng Yi, bidding her farewell, said, "I'm getting late. You and your teammates are no longer in danger, so I'd like to leave first." And with that, he started to leave. As soon as he began to go, Su Qingying loudly called out to stop him. But Feng Yi jumped out through a broken hole in the roof and said, "No need. Talking too much only messes things up. I'll leave everything here to you." And with that, he exited the building. Walking away, he thought to himself, "Good thing she didn't see me trying to absorb the dark attribute just now. That discomfort and eerie coldness were really disgusting. Maybe it's because the dark spiritual energy had already been dispelled and my body instinctively rejected it that I failed. The system didn't respond either. Forget it. I'll review it later at home." Meanwhile, back inside the building, Su Qingying slapped her teammates awake and said, "All of you get up quickly. It's all over now." Just then, the senior member of the team woke up and immediately shouted, "We were ambushed." Then he saw the serpent's body burning right in front of him. The rest of the teammates, now regaining consciousness, also began to watch the serpent's dead body burning in flames. Seeing the serpent's corpse, the senior member of the team looked on in shock and asked, "What's going on? Where did that overwhelming yummy attribute come from?" In response, Su Qingying stepped forward and calmly replied, "As you can see, some pioneers came to help us." She paused for a moment before continuing, "It should be the target of my mission. My original task was to track an extremely high-level attribute pioneer, the Xiang attribute." Hearing this, some of the others nearby turned to her in surprise and asked, "So, do you know who he is?" Su Qingying shook her head slightly and answered, "I haven't succeeded yet. His identity is still a mystery. Actually, I was counter-tracked by him. He knew exactly what I was doing. But this time, he saved us." As her words sank in, one of the team members lit up with excitement and exclaimed, "To think someone could solo both Candle Knight and that giant serpent. What a monster." The senior, still processing the situation, walked over to the python's dead body. With a serious expression, he said, "Speaking of which, where's Candle Knight's corpse? Let's clean up the scene first and submit the remains to the association." As the senior began clearing the area, his foot suddenly landed on one of the python scales. The moment his foot touched the serpent's scale, a surge of electricity erupted from it, crackling violently. Shocked, the senior quickly pulled his foot back and shouted, This is violet energy. Then turning to Sukingjing, he asked urgently, Captain Sukingjing, didn't you say earlier that it was a young attribute? But this residual electrical charge is way too intense. Hearing this, Sukingjing stepped forward to inspect more closely and asked, is this Candle Knight's corpse? The thunder attribute's purity. It's very strong, definitely high tier. The senior crouched down near the serpent's charred remains, carefully examining the electrical residue on the ground. He muttered, half in disbelief, could it be too high? Level pioneers appeared here. One killed the black serpent, one killed Candle Knight, and then they left together. But Sukingjing stood still, staring at the corpse in front of her. Her eyes narrowed in thought as she silently concluded, no, that's not it. How should I put it? Only one person showed up here. No one would believe that a single person carried two extremely high-level attributes. Just having one of them would make someone a top-tier genius. A dual high-tier attribute pioneer. That's practically unheard of. She clenched her fist slightly, her mind racing as she tried to comprehend the truth. Young Flamewalker, Thunder Tyrant. Just what kind of freak is this guy? After that, the story shifts forward slightly in time. Several association vehicles had arrived around the factory. Seeing them pull up outside, Sukingjing thought to herself, good thing a station team members outside the factory. If they stayed inside too long, they would report to the association. Based on the situation, the association sent reconnaissance personnel to the scene. Their original intent was to collect our corpses. Inside the factory, Sukingjing was seated with two of her female teammates holding onto her tightly. One of them looked at her with teary eyes and said emotionally, boss, you're alive. I thought I'd lost my captain forever. The second added, if he had died, what would I have done? Boss, tell me. Sukingjing listened to them silently, thinking to herself with mild irritation, what nonsense are they going on about? At that moment, the association scanning team had entered the factory. Their primary task had now shifted. They were scanning for residual spiritual energy, analyzing the traces, and reconstructing the battle. As the scanning team examined the serpent's corpse, one of the personnel turned towards Sukingjing and the senior and said, both captains, based on trace comparisons at the scene, whether it's combat habits or kill patterns, it all points to one person who killed both anomalies. There's a 99% probability it's the same individual. Hearing this, the senior standing nearby became serious and said, it really is a dual high-tier attribute pioneer. I thought we'd made a mistake, but indeed, either of those two anomalies alone could have wiped us out. A teammate standing beside him chimed in, exactly. This powerhouse finished them off in a single strike. We're all Ghost Axe realm, too, but the gap is ridiculous. Sukingjing quickly stepped aside to make a call and report the findings to the association. She said, my surveillance target appeared. The data has updated. I need to report to the higher ups. These are the results. Durant and the North Gate of Kumching University were both my assigned targets. On the other end of the line, the association's leader responded after hearing her out. I understand the situation, Sukingjing. For now, I want you to halt your mission. He saved you, eliminated the anomalies, and secured this entire area. That means he doesn't resent the association. And he's not our enemy. Anyway, old Han and I don't quite see eye to eye on this. For your safety, and to leave a good impression on that tyrant, avoid contacting him for now. Sukingjing responded firmly, understood. But I still have one theory. Something that happened before when Tyrant was about to advance at the back mountain. The chief asked, what do you mean? She explained, I once sensed an incredibly strong aura in the area where he was active. I suspected he might have a spiritual weapon, but thought it was unlikely. But now that it's confirmed he's a dual high-tier attribute pioneer. Hearing this, the chief's tone shifted as he asked seriously, does he have a spiritual weapon? Then he began to reason aloud, that's unlikely. No matter how gifted he is, there's no way he could possess a spiritual weapon without outside help or resources. Besides, the reconnaissance team found no traces of a third spiritual energy attribute typically associated with a spiritual weapon. Sukingjing clarified, when it came into contact with him, the spiritual weapon aura I sensed was a yang attribute. The chief paused, then said, I see. If the weapon's attribute comes directly from his own yang energy, then if he's a spirit creation realm cultivator, it's theoretically possible to do it solo. Hearing this, Sukingjing was shocked and thought, spirit creation realm. Even globally, cultivators at that level are extremely rare. Barely more than 2 exist. Then the chief continued, but if this person does possess a third attribute, that would shift the balance entirely. It would shake the entire pioneer community, because according to research, different attributes clash within the human body. It's nearly impossible for them to coexist. So far, no pioneer has ever been confirmed to possess 3 different spiritual attributes. He added, one last thought. If he really has a spiritual weapon, then the fact we didn't detect a 3rd attribute might actually be a good thing. Let's hope such a powerful pioneer never becomes humanity's enemy. The story now shifts to Fang Ye, who is in the middle of taking a shower. As he finishes and steps out, he begins thinking to himself, there's less than a year until the official spiritual energy revival, yet anomalies and phenomena are already erupting everywhere. Anomalies are becoming highly active. He dries his hair using his fire attribute, and his mind drifts back to recent developments. Many pioneers like myself have started cultivating on their own. Once the interface between the body and the spiritual world is open, we become more sensitive to changes in heaven and earth. Like those people I encountered at the underground river. Even without Shiite country's official recognition, self-trained pioneers have generally reached the level of 1 Dargos penetration realm. Now that Shiite country is reaching out to wild pioneers like me, it shows that both official and wild pioneers are in a relatively peaceful phase of mutual exploration. Anomalies are still within controllable limits, and there's no serious conflict among pioneers yet. He picks up his clothes and starts getting dressed, still deep in thought. However, even though the government established the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association, it still hasn't gone bobble. People everywhere are talking more frequently about local instability and unexplained phenomena. It's clear the government is trying both to protect humanity and issue early warnings. Then he thinks back to burning buildings from his past life. Normal city buildings turn to ash and chaos. Remembering them, he says, but the problem lies exactly here. I can feel it. The government has no confidence in launching full-scale cultivation. With such a large population, once information is made public, order will collapse. Internal unrest will spread chaos and death. As it stands now, even recognized pioneers can't yet stabilize societal upheaval. Internal and external threats will only accelerate the collapse. So this gentle approach from the government isn't wrong. After all, human hearts are more frightening than ghosts or gods. But what worries me is that the development of anomalies is exceeding my expectations. Just as this thought crosses his mind, a notification pops up from his system. A rating related to the dark attribute, specifically one of its sub-attributes. Fang Yang narrows his eyes and reflects, what I encountered today was a typical mutated product of dark attribute contamination. From touching the black mist, I could tell it belongs to a sub-branch of the dark attribute known as the shadow attribute, and is a natural enemy to pioneers. However, these anomalies are far more intelligent than typical exotic beasts. They not only feast on humans, pioneer bodies are a great nutritional source for them. They may even cooperate to trap and kill pioneers. Though they're still not on the same level as the true dark type anomalies I saw before, the kind that could destroy a country, even a continent, with just one of them. Still, if I hadn't tracked them today, that squad and the one trying to recruit me might not have made it. Even just a sub-attribute was so sinister and disgusting. Full dark attribute threats are simply too dangerous. Then he looks at the system's status note, temporarily unabsorbable. That sparks another line of thought. But if it's labeled a temporarily unabsorbable, does that mean I'll be able to absorb it once system conditions are met? It might even be the key to turning the tide. He then does a mental inventory of his powers and techniques. Now I possess the golden sun breathing technique of the yang attribute, the divine thunder tempering of the thunder attribute, and the crimson flame blade technique, a sub-attribute of yang called inner flame. Not just high-tier attributes, I also have corresponding techniques that perfectly suit me, plus my current strength as a 3-star ghost axe realm. There should be very few pioneers who can rival me. He takes a breath, but then his thoughts end off firm, ominous note, but it's still not enough. Just then, Fang Yi's phone starts ringing. He glances at the screen and mutters to himself, it's Auntie's call. Why did she suddenly call? As soon as he picks up the phone, his aunt greets him warmly, hello, how have you been? Listen, your cousin is coming to study near your place. I don't feel comfortable with her staying alone in a hotel. Can she stay at your place for a few days? Hearing that his cousin is coming, Fang Ye thinks to himself, cousin's coming. The only thing I remember about her is she was a straight student obsessed with studying. I don't even remember what she looks like. He responds on the call, just have her come over. There's a spare room at home. Then he asks, when is she coming? To this, his aunt replies, no need to pick her up. I'll give her the address and let her come over by herself. Then adds with a smile, she'll bring you some special cookies and snacks when she arrives. She should be there by tomorrow afternoon. Sorry for the sudden trouble. Fang Ye, unfazed, says with a soft chuckle, what trouble? Don't worry at all. Then adds, I've got some things to do, so I'll hang up now. And he ends the call. Meanwhile, at his aunt's house, we see a girl sitting at her computer, intensely browsing articles about spiritual energy martial arts. She's reading pieces discussing Death Town, park-based beast challenges, and various anomaly events. Just then, her mom, Fang Ye's aunt, enters the room and asks, "Did you finish packing?" The girl responds, clearly not thrilled, "Yeah, everything's packed, but I really don't want to stay with my cousin. The hotel was fine for me." Her mom replies in a firm tone, "It's much safer staying with your cousin than being alone out there. I trust him more than any hotel staff. Be sure not to cause trouble when you're there. Help out around the house when you can." Before she can say more, the girl shoves her mom playfully out of the room and says, "Don't worry, I get it. I get it." As she shuts the door, she thinks to herself, one hurdle at a time. No matter what my cousin is like, he won't be harder to handle than an anomaly. The next day, we see the girl walking with her phone in hand, following a map. A digital voice from the map says, "You've arrived at your destination." She looks up at a large hotel-style building in front of her and mutters, "This should be the place." Google Search Suggestions display of search suggestions is required when using grounding with Google Search.